Hi everyone, this is Vinay Deshpande from Dare to Shop, welcoming you in my conversation series Showing Up in Life with Vinay. Today, I'm going to speak with my longtime friend Supriya, who has been marketeer at heart and has experience across different industries, starting with media to education and even IT services. What I really appreciate about her is her assertiveness and willingness to go against the tide. So I'm looking forward to talking to her. Let's go. Good afternoon.
Hi Vinay, good afternoon. Long time.
Hi. Yes, long time. And first time we are meeting right like this on Zoom.
That's true. That's true.
Great.
The
How are you
pandemic got
today?
several changes, right?
Yes,
Going
yeah.
on. This is one of the good ones.
Yeah, of course, of course. Now, many people are becoming more comfortable with virtual meetings. Yeah.
True.
How are you today?
I am good. How are you doing?
I'm good as well. I mean, at least today it's much better, cooler than past few days here in Basel, which was really hot. So feeling much better now.
Wow, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So just for the knowledge of our viewers, that Supriya is joining from Mumbai, and I know you for more than probably 30 years, and
Yes.
it's been pleasure knowing you, being part of my our friends network. So I'm really happy that you agreed to join me on this program here.
It's an absolute pleasure. Believe me, the pleasure is all mine. It's your journey has been remarkable, and I think the uh, what you're doing right now, which is the whole concept of dare to show up, I think resonates very well with a lot of people. And this endeavor, if it can get people to actually take action on that, there'll be nothing more fulfilling than to be part of that journey of yours.
Thank you so much, Supriya. So just a background context, why am I doing this is, as you rightly said, the whole idea is I want to help people in showing up in their life the way they want to show up. And we all go through the change, as change is the constant, as we all say. So we all go through the change, and my purpose is really to help people navigate through that change so that they can lead themselves through that change, as well as sometimes, of course, in their professional life, they might be able to lead their team through that change, and how can they thrive and show up there in their lives the way they want to show up. So that's the whole purpose what I'm doing. And in that endeavor, I thought there are so many people around us who have been experiencing that, or who have already gone through that. So why not just, like, learn and share whatever learnings that from each other. And I mean, as we all know that there is a lot of knowledge available on internet if you Google through. But at the same time, if we really kind of see the people who are around us, then for me at least, it becomes that it connects me a lot to that journey. And that's the reason why I decided to really meet and check and kind of learn from each other, from the people from my network. So, and you've been one of those. So thank you so much again.
Pleasure, Vinay. Absolute pleasure.
So Supriya, one thing which I remember and I know you for is your professional journey. You've been through different roles through different companies. So I would suggest that why not you just kind of introduce yourself through that journey? How has that been?
Surely. So I think after I finished my post graduation, I joined a research company. And at that time, it was an India based research company. And later on, got taken over by AC Nielsen. Post which, after about spending 4.5 years there, I have always been in the marketing field. However, it has been a very exciting journey because in the marketing function, I have traversed various industries. So, be it consumer products, media, entertainment, telecom, IT right now, and so on and so forth, right? Dot com companies, and it's just been a very exciting roller coaster ride always. Uh, I'm not sure if people are open to that idea per se. People always seem to, want to relate to people or want to hire people or want to engage with people with domain experience. What I have found over a course of time is somebody coming with cross domain experience can enrich the current role or the current assignment more fruitfully than someone who would probably come from the same domain.
Hmm.
But it takes a bit of convincing. It takes a lot of open minded professionals to actually acknowledge and accept that fact, and then probably surround themselves with people who are from different fields altogether or different sectors or verticals, even though they are engaged to perform their job or their professional function basis a particular function. So it could be, I mean, somebody who is a technical person and has come, say, from a consumer products company and is now currently switching to, let's say, a sawmill or a real estate company. It takes some convincing, but at the end of the day, I think the philosophy that I've learned is way back in school, I was a fledgling basketball player, right? So that time there's this concept called the pivot foot.
Hmm.
So that foot stays anchored on the ground, and with the other foot, you can just change, go around with the ball in your hand in two different nodal points to see where you can get a best shot or a pass. So that pivot foot concept is what is absolutely integral to anybody in their personal and professional life. So let me give you an example. So many people come up to us and say, I really need to get to office. I can't handle the drama at home, right? Or vice versa. I need to get back home. I can't handle the drama in office, right? It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. So you have one thing that is tethered and anchored, which is your safe zone, and then you can go around exploring n number of new realms, new opportunities, and change that gets thrown your way on a daily basis. And that
Wow.
change is often within your control or not. So if it's
Right.
within your control span, great. More often than not, and you would know that much better than me, right? The more you grow up the ladder, you find that that change is more often not in your control, which is rather ironic, but that's the way things are. So
Right.
it is very important to have that one tether anywhere, and it could be anything. It could be a hobby, it could
Hmm.
be your home, it could be your work, it could be your social circle, it could simply be your personality. Maybe some people like to go home, sit and watch television and binge on Netflix or Amazon Prime Video, whatever. But then they are like refreshed to take on the challenges of the next day. But
Yeah.
find that spot. You find that spot, and then you can tackle any kind of change. For me, it has, in a sense, been the marketing function. So I like
Hmm.
being in a space where I can deliver marketing outcomes, where I can strategize on marketing, branding about a product or a service. It really doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I have literally helped so many friends do what they call marketing. It's a very loose term, but different aspects of marketing. Some people want it for the digital realm, some people want it for the PR, some people want simply a strategy to support maybe something that they're building ground up. And it, it just doesn't matter, right? It's a product. You bring your marketing knowledge to the table,
Right.
and that's how you grow. So
Hmm.
in my current role, I was extremely lucky when I got hired, because I think people still kind of fight to keep a very passive face when I tell them that I am in the IT sector today and my last job was with a preschool. And that's the reality. But hats off to the person who actually hired me, right? So my stakeholders who interviewed me, and they happen to be my stakeholders even today. And one of them, she's also my mentor
Hmm.
within my current organization. That really helps. So that cross pollination of ideas, maybe something that works there can migrate here. And not for a moment do you take away from the wealth of intelligence or knowledge capital that people who are domain experts bring to the table. But the
Right.
moment both of us get together, then the success factor is like exponential.
Super, brilliant. Actually, you said so many points, so I want to go to those different points, but we'll take it one by one.
Sure.
And also, as you were saying that not necessarily everything goes as you plan. I realize I always at the beginning of this conversation I make the disclaimer that you are joining as an individual in your individual capacity and not
Yes.
representing any organization. So I just wanted to make
Absolutely.
that also clear
Yes.
here. But already I've learned one concept about this pivot food, as you mentioned. I was really not aware of that word, so thank you for sharing that. So, and that made me curious, like, is that food always the same or can it change?
Oh, it can absolutely change. So again, the basketball field is really wide, right? So it
Hmm.
depends on where it's a wonderful analogy. It depends on where you are at that point in time. So imagine that canvas,
Hmm.
right? You could be anywhere at that point in time, right? There you are okay. So I am firm on the ground with whatever I am doing or whatever I want to do
Hmm.
or people around me, whatever. So somebody may be going through an upheaval in their professional life, but they find an anchor in a mentor who gives them good advice.
Okay. Hmm.
Somebody may be at a huge crossroads in their personal life, but a project is going really well and on stream, and they get their peace of mind at work. So
Hmm.
it's a very holistic concept, but the idea behind it is try walking on two stones which are floating. That is hard.
Right.
So if
Absolutely.
we turn it on its head, it's very difficult to navigate any journey when both your feet are up in there, right? You'll just basically end up collapsing very badly on your back.
Yeah.
So always make sure one thing is tethered, and that is something you can return to clear your mind of the cobwebs or the dust or the uncertainty that change tends to bring.
Hmm.
A lot of the time, it's always a lack of span of control, a lack of um, perceived control. So
Hmm.
you think it is not within your control, but the point is the first concentric circle around you, comprising people, situations, and even physical objects, are undergoing the same thing.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's not just you. You will start looking at it in a detached way when you are at peace with yourself. So find that peace somewhere. And then it's very easy to probably detach and look at it and say, okay, that's fine. Like, for example, you might some people would come up and say, why are you not protesting this? Why are you not going somewhere else? Why don't you explore this personally or professionally? Doesn't matter, right? But it depends on what your response to that situation has been, right? And it may
Hmm.
not always be right. It just depends on what calm and peace it brings you at that point in time.
Right. And
That
what
is something. Yes.
No, no. I realize what you're saying is like if you are also clear and connected with where what that pivot foot is, then
Yes.
probably it's easy to see the things from a detached point of view. Yeah.
And you do tend to ignore it sometimes. What happens is because that, so let's assume, so your pivot foot is something that you would probably end up saying, oh my God, you're not moving.
Hmm.
It's not supposed to move. So, simple example, right? You have a really lousy day at work and you come back and you are completely frustrated with the people at home, but they are actually the people who are bringing you calm, right? So you need to literally take advantage of that so that you can go back next day to a situation which remains uncertain and that's not in your control.
Hmm. Right.
So
Again,
it's a
that.
normal human reaction. So it's not like, I mean, I'm not saying that people should not do it. I do it, but and vice versa.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you are, fighting with people at home, and then you go to office, and then you are like a very mean person to some perfectly good team member. So and they are like, what happened, right? It's but if you acknowledge the fact that they are your pivot foot at that point in time, it just makes things a lot easier.
Wow. That's a brilliant analogy, brilliant concept actually, as really finding because most of the time we find it difficult to that switch on, switch off kind of stuff. So we bring all the stress from office to home or from home to office, and then it all
Right.
becomes muddy.
Yes, it does. And it also causes rash decisions sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Because you yourself, when you go to your when you go to your calm space but carry all that and you don't know how to get rid of it
Mm.
temporarily at least, you're just adding to your own confusion and stress. Instead
True.
of taking advantage of that calm space, you were at one. Then instead of becoming zero, so instead of the battery getting discharged, the battery overheats.
Right.
And then you are going to back to the same area of chaos with a overheated, ramped up battery, which is not going to help anyone.
Yeah.
So it's easier said than done, but it does come with experience. But like you very rightly said, you need to recognize what the pivot foot is, and that can always change. In
Mm.
fact, I'll be very worried if it doesn't change because that means there's something wrong somewhere.
True. 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 And in this your journey, so you have some of the changes which probably you choose consciously, and some of the changes just happen. So what are the maybe some of the challenges that, and I'm really focusing more on challenges, because if something goes right and if we are happy, we don't really recognize that, or but if something goes wrong, or if we find into a challenging situation, then we start really thinking like, oh, did I make a right decision, or should I have done that or that? So it's always easy to look back and look the things in the hindsight. But so my question is, when you chose certain things consciously, how did or and then if you came or you faced some challenges, then how did you handle those kind of situations?
Initially, I would say very badly. So, because it was a learning experience until that time things were going really well. So I guess so for example, I was in the media and entertainment industry and then I progressed in the media and entertainment industry, so it was a really great feeling, right? You got the opportunities, you got to deliver the way you wanted, you were kind of switching between avenues, so maybe movies, television, digital. So you got the diversity that you wanted, etc. The moment that uh, kind of went into the boondocks suddenly with no prior warning, no prior intimation, and that was your life till then, you really did
Mm,
not know what to do, which also uh, in hindsight, I realized obviously that it could lead you to be blind to certain opportunities that are sitting right.
mm,
So again, it is easier said than done. You can't say like it's not like you rightly said, it's not an on-off switch. But if you can at least get to closing the switch halfway, you can or take a deep breath at that point in time because you
mm,
realize it is inevitable. So
mm,
again, something that you very rightly pointed out. When I was doing very well, I never asked why me. But
mm.
when it went like like downstairs, I was like, why me? So, what did I do to deserve this? But I was not asking that when I was in a happy place, right? So,
Yeah.
so it obviously happens. It is a natural human reaction. It is hard. And again, at that time, uh, imagine at that point in time, if you are moving on two floating stones.
Mm,
So, if you didn't have your pivot foot at that point in time, your anchor, your tether, or your safe place, or your comfort zone, then it is much more harder to regroup, reconsider, and then reinvent yourself. It is much more. I'm not saying it's impossible, it is not, but it is much harder.
right. And if in case, I'm fully aware that we are on camera recording, but in
Yeah.
case if you take us in that period of time, what was your pivot food?
It was the home situation. So
Okay.
I had very strong backing of people at home, and they were like, "Your job doesn't define you," and I was like, "No, it does. It is what is giving me my identity." Which like like many years later, I was like, "That was such a childish thing to say," but like I had never known anything different, right? And everything was going so smoothly. So you're like, "What happened suddenly?"
Yeah.
It's hard to even come to grips with the fact that it is not something that you are going to return to tomorrow. So
Mm,
you go from having two anchors to suddenly one floating off, and but you don't realize that therefore the importance or the weight given to the other foot, which is still anchored, becomes that much more
yeah.
important or necessary. At that point, it actually becomes necessary,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then you start moving that foot ahead. slow step by slow step, and then you say, okay, my pivot was here, now my pivot is probably 10 paces ahead or somewhere else on the next street, which is fine.
Right,
That's
right.
completely fine, but it takes some time, and sometimes it takes some hard knocks to open your eyes to that situation. But and I'm all for, so people who have it very easy, they are very lucky, and but they should always take a pause and show their gratitude, or thank people for their success, always. Because, like I said, I mean, when it's going fine, I don't say what did I do to deserve this, right? But
Yeah.
you should say, so I am worthy of this, I'm deserving this. So you pass on your thanks, pay it forward, help other people, whatever you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And yesterday or day before yesterday, I was reading and I posted that also on LinkedIn about this exactly, like the reaction versus response. And we all probably been through that situation, whoever are either in the traffic or the, suddenly if somebody cuts you off on the road, then we react to that. And
Yes.
sometimes it's the same way as you said, that because sometimes we just identify ourselves either with that luxury car or our job or material whatever possessions. But
Yes.
suddenly, yeah, how do you dissociate yourself from that? It's, of course, you are proud of because you kind of got the success and all fine, but it's not, that may not necessarily defining who you are.
um so I mean, if we continue with the the road traffic kind of scenario, I think the important thing is not to immediately react at that point in time, unless it is a situation that really warrants reacting. So if
Hmm.
somebody has been, and you know for a fact that somebody has been intentionally disrespectful,
Hmm.
or has a deliberate intent to harm you on the road, then by all means react. I am really not of the philosophy where you say, oh, they must be having a problem at home. No, by all means, they have. But otherwise, and 90% of the time, those people are so focused on trying to cut through their own chaos in life that they are wearing blinkers. They are not really very clear on what is happening to the left and right, which is uh, not a great state to be when you're driving on the road. But that is precisely what it is, right? And
Hmm.
when we jump on them, we don't even give them a chance to explain or to apologize, and then all it turns out is 5 minutes of heated words, and nobody gets anywhere, and both people have lost their appetite to get through the rest of the day. So
Yeah.
I will still call that person an idiot, but I will do it maybe after I reach home. Because
Hmm.
for all you know, they were probably rushing to an emergency. I mean, there
You
could be
never
any
know.
number of reasons,
Yeah.
but unless you're very sure that they're deliberately doing it, and even for that matter, even if you see somebody doing it deliberately to somebody else, by all means stop and help.
Yeah.
That is fine. But an instantaneous response, sometimes it is good to take a pause, think
Hmm.
2 minutes about it, uh,
Yeah. True.
unless it is very critical. Like if you're skydiving and you think your ripcord is broken, please shout out at that instant. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, a pause is always good.
True. True. Hmm. You mentioned about in that conversation about oh, your cat is
Yes.
is yeah. Oh, she's jumping. Good. Yeah, coming back to that, your journey, as well as you mentioned, though it was in a different context of on the road traffic, but if somebody tries to be mean to you, etc., that's what you were talking about. So I know you, and I really admire you for being. I find it like assertive that you always kind of took your own decisions, and some of them probably not even fitting into the typical societal norms or whatever that could be. It might have happened, right?
Yes.
So how did you probably, and then you might have come across people who judged you for that, or I don't know whether I should call them because I don't know, but like mean to you, or let's say that way. So
Yes.
again, how did you navigate yourself through those kind of situations or deal with those kind of people?
That's an interesting question. So it does hurt a lot. It also, in my case, would reach a point, either even professionally, personally, whichever, wherever such a situation were to occur. it would reach a point where even if they weren't being mean to me, I would start second guessing,
Hmm.
which is really horrible, right? I mean, somebody, I'm not saying they're being nice to me, but they're neutral, and I would still be like, mean person.
Oh.
So imagine what's happened. I'm reverse judging, even though
Yeah.
that person is perfectly neutral. So I would say it depends on. I would now after many years, learning the hard way, I just stop to think whether those people are probably focal to my existence at all,
Hmm.
because I really can't go around changing their opinions. And I used to be very upset about it. Now I think about whether it is even worth my time to go around changing their opinions. And more often than not, the answer is no, it's not.
You're right. Hmm.
Because I will beat my head against a rock wall and they are not going to change their opinion anyway. In fact, it provides more fodder for the gossip mill, so to speak. They
Hmm.
say, oh, she's trying to explain something, which means something is wrong. There's no smoke without fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm happy to wait till the smoke dies down because nothing is going to change your mind anyway. So, however, if those people happen to be, like I said, focal to my existence, if they are important to me, I do definitely go up to them and try to talk it through, either
Hmm.
professionally or personally. Nowadays, people who really know me would say if you are getting a response out of her, then typically the statements are, oh, she's very temperamental, or she's very emotional, or she's too calm, or and so on. There are n number of texts, not only for me but for people, right? And now it is like, if she's not responding to you, you are not on her consideration list at all. Which is great, right? It is easier to associate with a smaller group of people. So
Hmm.
no communication is great. It
Hmm.
and in a professional scenario, obviously stand up for yourself. I learned again the hard way because people thought I was not assertive, and which was
Hmm.
very laughable because the only response I had to them was, and you know me for over 3 decades, so yeah, I can see you laughing. But the only response from my end was, try getting me to do something that I don't believe in, right? So if I'm believing in what I'm doing and if I'm believing in what you're telling me to do, there is no reason for me to generally create a song and dance and make my voice be heard, etc. I mean, we are getting good work done, so be it. There are
Yeah.
some people who like flaunting themselves on stage. I'm not one of them, but I'm happy to help the people get onto that stage and applaud, because end of the day, everybody can't be on stage. You need an audience as well. I'm happy to be
Hmm.
the audience as long as the work is getting done. If the work is not getting done, then
I can
yes, then
imagine.
at that point in time, then yeah, you would probably see the assertive side of me, like upfront and personal, which you would not want to see. So
Yeah.
but which is all right. So you need to believe in what you're doing. So like for me it is, I believe in doing good marketing, good innovative marketing. Constraints often are, like, in a variety of companies, constraints tend to be budget, constraints
Mhm.
tend to be other people judging those ideas to be not worthwhile. Like, you have to live with it, which is fine. I mean, it's
Mhm.
it's not nothing personal really. But
Mhm.
when it happens time and again, then you evaluate,
Mhm.
then and you see whether it is detrimental to your career to not do that, because while they are rejecting your ideas, it is also hampering the build-up of your resume,
Right.
right? So you evaluate and you see, and then you try and explain. If not, it's a wide open slate, right? The basketball court is huge. You go
Usually.
somewhere else,
Hmm.
find
True.
another player to toss the ball to, which is all good.
Absolutely. I really like that analogy of basketball and the court. Really. I'm getting hooked to that complete picture of that court. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, you got recognition for being top 100 leaders in India.
There was one global marketing and communications award, and one was a national award as well. Yes.
Yeah, so congratulations. So even, I
Thank
mean,
you.
as you said, your work gets recognized, right? And sometimes it will come at the right point of time. And I really feel proud of you getting that award. So congratulations.
Thank you, Vinay. That was really nice of you. Thank you.
Yeah, just another last point probably in this conversation here, because you mentioned about mentor right at the beginning. And so, what's the role of mentors? You might have one or two or many in this journey. So, I really want to understand what's the role of mentor that you recognize on this road, you recognize in this journey, and whether you selected them, whether you got them, how that happened.
So in my case, the ones I have right now, so like I said, there is this one particular stakeholder at my current workplace. There is another a boss of mine when I was working in an earlier company. Most of those people, I admired their work ethic to the extent that today I actually stopped to think of how the boss in my earlier company way back would
Hmm.
respond to that situation. So it was, more of admiration, respect for their work style, how they handle situations. And then if they have the time, then, I try to consult them on how to tackle particular situations. Uh, it I also, I mean, it's not just these two. So there are about four or five, and not many know me as closely, but their advice is always valued. So it's better than also some water in the bucket is better than a completely dry bucket, right? So
Hmm.
it helps, and you may decide to keep the water or throw it out eventually, but it definitely helps you. It gives you perspectives that you never thought possible
Hmm.
because they are not as involved in the situation as you are. So, because you're so close to a situation, you do not consider other angles, and their response, given their sheer experience and exposure, is so quick that you are like, oh wow, yeah, I mean, why am I even overthinking it? Or, oh, yes, that's something that I didn't consider. Let me start working on it.
Hmm.
So many things, right? And the good part is, in fact, like I said, pay it forward, right? So in my existing company now, I have officially gotten onto a mentoring program which they started, and a career counseling program. So I'm hoping to kind of pay forward what my mentors kind of bestow upon me time to time, and hopefully it will make somebody else's life better now. So, but you always, I mean, even when you're probably 85 years old, it is always good to have a mentor. And
Hmm.
uh, by the way, one point to mention, one of my mentors is actually 23 years old. So it
Hmm.
is not necessary that they need to be older, wiser, and with lateral experience. So this person, it is just their viewpoint, what they
Hmm.
bring to the table, and because they're phenomenal readers, they probably also have like a genius IQ. I don't know. I should ask, but the wealth of knowledge I get from them, the response to a situation, the practical approach, the completely detached approach. Oh, so not happened. Okay, fine. Leave it. Go forward. So while I'm not really recommending that for a person of my personality, my own, I mean, as an approach, people are welcome to it. But the learning is immense,
Right.
right? So I always consult them. Saying, okay, what would you do in such a situation? I don't even know why you're considering it. I mean, why have you not left it behind already? So like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, probably yes. Good
Hmm.
thought. So it's always nice to have a mentor, and we should just, I think, be a little open-minded in considering where they come from, what they do. They, like I said, need not always be somebody older and wiser.
Hmm.
Especially with the millennials now, and I use the term with great respect. There's a lot to learn.
Hmm.
There's a huge amount to learn, so it is worthwhile to collaborate with them and to learn from them rather than saying, oh, you're older and therefore maybe you can teach them a thing or two. Well, not necessarily.
Yeah, yeah. I
Not
think it's
always.
yeah, it's as you say, it's could always be like mentoring or it is a reverse mentoring. It doesn't matter what term you use, but yeah, age doesn't necessarily matter. It's the different
Yeah.
perspective that every person brings in that situation.
And if you gel, I mean, over a period of time, I mean, if you're lucky enough to associate, I mean, obviously, like, because I uh, was not ever in an official mentoring program, so uh, I chose my mentors, and then I was lucky enough to observe them over a period of time, and therefore then actually go up to them and say that, would you be able to guide me on so and so subject, etc. So, so which is good if you have the time to spend with them. I used to teach um, at a college, and the digital marketing subject, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to teach these guys, right? I mean, they could probably teach me a thing or two because they're all sitting in a lab, connected computers. What would you teach them? They can probably run circles around it, but it's worthwhile having that dialogue because they used to look upon you to bring in the industry experience and the practical application of what they were learning. Whereas what we used to gain from it is a wealth of knowledge of the digital world, and which is very hard to gauge. It is like thinking that you have Google memorized. You can't.
Mm.
So always good to collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a lot of things that you touch upon. So I'm really happy that we connected. Before we actually kind of bring it all to the close, and because there were a couple of cats going around, so I know you tell a little bit more about the pets that you have and
Sure.
how much you love them
So,
actually.
yes, so I am obviously, I mean, I'm an animal lover, but never really sought out any pets per se. I guess about 12 to 13 years ago, one of my friends kind of left a turtle at our place saying it was hard because her new job required a lot of traveling. So
Mm,
she dropped off her turtle at our place, and that's where literally the journey started. So we had the turtle, and then maybe about 11 years ago there was a dog that showed up and never left, and then there was a cat that showed up, and now obviously you see her kids running around. So it's great, it's a great de-stressor. It really helps you clear your mind, and it helps you build a lot of empathy because it's like a child that never grows up,
mm,
right? And it's a child that can never communicate with you, so it helps you build a lot of empathy for what somebody is going through. And I know there are cat people and dog people and stuff like that, but end of the day, it's somebody with 4 feet or no feet if you're keeping fish, for example. It's just a matter of I think that experience of not being able to communicate with somebody who speaks your language, and it could well be somebody you meet who doesn't really know the language you speak,
yeah.
really enriches you, really enriches you. So, I would recommend anybody to try speaking to, but not tree is quite extreme, though it is apparently helpful. But do invest time in, maybe going to an animal shelter, or if you have the luxury of time and space at home, get a pet. It really, really develops a lot of empathy
Mm, right.
towards other people in general. Because I mean, end of the day, I mean, they're just there, right? I mean, what it's a wonderful, it's been a wonderful experience, and I'm always thankful for my friend who kind of got in the turtle to us one day. It really changed my life.
Super, Supriya. I thank you so much. We kind of had different analogies right from basketball to end with all these animals. So it's been such a good learning these last whatever 25, 30 minutes we spoke. And I'm sure people who would be watching this, they would also gain a lot from Supriya's experience and what we discuss here. So thank you so much. And those who would be watching, please also leave your comments and what you are learning or what your takeaways after this session. So thank you so much, Supriya, and we'll continue talking to each other anyways.
Thank you, Vinay. This was really nice. And I would just like to state for the record that, again, your dare to show up is something that really resonates with me. It has, ever since you mentioned it, uh, I think I have, and it started around the pandemic time, right? So when I got to hear of it, obviously you've
Mm,
been doing it for a while, and it really resonates with a lot of people. Please keep up the good work. It is very important that even when you feel like just being bundled under the blankets and not showing your face to anyone, putting on a game face and
mm,
showing up at the situation makes a world of difference. I think that's something I got from it, and literally the name of your company has been an important highlight as far as my attitude towards things has been concerned. No, honestly, you probably do it unconsciously, but when somebody actually pulls it out and puts a name to it, you realize, hey, that is something that I was looking for, and it's so
Mm.
nice that somebody I know so closely and practically grew up with has this philosophy and is a master at it. It's amazing. Keep up the good work, Vinay. It has been amazing, and I'm really proud that we are friends for so long.
Thank you so much, Supriya. And yes, let's we will offline as well continue our all these fruitful discussions. So thank you so much, and see you again.